How do you find people?
Certain roles, for the more senior roles, it's who's visible, but then sometimes the best talent is not visible. We tend to go after the passive.
What are the trends that people are looking for?
I'd say that one of the things that organizations and people are kind of fearful of is the AI, losing their privacy by putting things out there publicly. Everyone needs to definitely learn AI. It's not going away.
How have you integrated these different AI tools into your process?
We're starting to use chatbots to help with sourcing. We even have an AI applicant tracking system.
Hello, and welcome back to the Interior Public Podcast. My name is Mary Diaz. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. This is a show where we're talking to industry leaders. Today, I am happy to be joined by Tanya Hinton. She is the director of the DSS Global Incorporated recruitment industry. Tanya, so happy to have you here. Why don't you take it away? Tell us about yourself. Tell us what you're up to these days and how everything is.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mary, for having me here. I currently with DSS Global Executive Search, and what we do is we specialize in finding niche talent for organizations, primarily corporate, but we also work with government and nonprofit clients. Our niches are being able to find talent globally, whether it is by industry, by function, or any other type of subspecialty. What we're finding is that clients really are going through transformation. Our clients are primarily Fortune 100, 200 companies, but even in government and nonprofit, transformation is really big right now. It's all about how can we transform the organization to make it more efficient, to make it more profitable? How can we do more with less? And it's also hitting those things that people kind of are a little bit uncertain about with AI and robotics and how that's going to influence the workplace.
Tell me a little bit about what your particular role is like. Walk us through what's a typical day look like for you? What are you really engaged with right now?
Basically, it's speaking with existing clients, but it's also connecting with clients that we've worked with in the past. When it comes to existing clients that we're engaged on retained assignments, it's about giving them status updates. What is the market like? Things have changed both from the employer and the employee perspective. So a lot of employees that are open, that may or may not be open to opportunity, they sometimes still think it's kind of more of an employee focused market. And what we're finding is that it has really changed to become more of an employer's market. And a lot of people have not really understood that. So whereas before when it was an employee's market, it was more sign-ons and other perks that may have been added to attract people, more hybrid. Things have changed now to where it's more on-site, where it is now, fewer sign-ons, or the sign-ons, they're either non-existent or they're just not as large as they had been in the past.
Okay.
And a lot of the perks may not still be what they were maybe 2 years ago, for instance. It's really helping them also as they're undergoing transformation to kind of think about what kind of talent do they need, with where they want to go in their 3 to 5 year plan. Do we have the talent that can take us there? Or when we're looking at certain key roles where we have the right talent, do we have a strong succession plan? If something were to happen to this person, do we have bench talent that could easily go into the role internally? And if not, then maybe we might even need to start thinking about an external succession plan. Being able to start meeting potential candidates that can go into these roles. Should someone either leave the organization or they become ill, how would we maybe think about restructuring this role if for some reason something happened to be able to maybe divide the role up? But what are some of the things that we need to do? Because right now, organizations are into growth mode. They're scaling. They need the right talent. It's not about someone that can grow into the role. It's someone that's been there, done that, and can hit the ground running and also be able to add a lot of value with strategy, with connections, with the expertise within that industry and function.
How do you find people?
Well, first of all, it's really looking at certain roles. For the more senior roles, it's who's visible, but then sometimes the best talent is not visible. And so a lot of search firms, they tend to go after the talent that's active. We tend to go after the passive candidate because we really want to be inclusive of everyone. So who's visible? Like, for instance, women. Women are not always as visible. Many times we have our heads down. We don't take the time out to really have as much of a presence on social media or to attend a lot of the conferences or events or speak. So it's being able to find out who is qualified, whether they're visible or not, and that may be a good fit for the organization. So it might be looking at who's been speaking, may include different professional organizations, but we also subscribe to a lot of different databases. So it could also be looking through those databases of hundreds of millions to see who is it that's in that geographic area, whether it is locally, whether it's regionally, whether it's nationally or global, that may have that expertise within the industry and function. So if we contact you, we already know you're pre-qualified. We don't contact people that we feel like, oh, well, we're just kind of thinking that this person might be a fit. No, if you've been contacted by us, we're more of the search detectives of finding you rather than posting the jobs and seeing who comes to us. Because usually who comes to us is not necessarily going to always be the right fit. There's a very small percentage of people that may come to you that's the right fit. But sometimes it requires posting the job just to see who's out there that may not even show up in any of those databases also.
Tell me about DSS Global. How large is this company?
So we did have a footprint more in different locations, but now we primarily are operating out of one office, but I do have people that are dispersed in other areas. And what we do is I have a sourcing team and they actually go out and find people. And then the interviewing is done sometimes by them and the more senior ones are done by myself. But generally before anyone is presented to any client, I am doing the interviews so that I know myself put the final stamp of approval on the candidates to make sure that they are the right fit before they're submitted.
What are the trends that people are looking for?
I'd say that one of the things that organizations and people are kind of fearful of is the AI. So the AI and the privacy factor, I think, are big concerns for corporations and losing their privacy by putting things out there publicly. So more organizations are forming their own version, having their own version of AI. But the problem internally is some people may be reluctant to try and use it. They may want to continue with the way things always have been, or they adopt it so easily that they let AI do more of the work than it should, and they're not necessarily using it as a partner.
A tool, yes, for sure.
I will say AI is great for getting started with something or finishing up, or if you get stuck in the middle, it can help take you to the next phase. But I think that everyone needs to definitely learn AI. It's not going away. We even have an AI applicant tracking system.
How have you guys integrated these different AI tools into your process?
It's we're starting to use chatbots to help with sourcing. It's also having an AI applicant tracking system that can match up people that's already in your database for the roles, which we've also, believe it or not, we were an early adopter of AI before it was called AI. So back in 2003, we had a AI app. It wasn't called an AI applicant tracking system, but it was a AI type of system. So it matches people according to your job description. But now we also have it where it can give you feedback on maybe some things that you might be missing in your job description that you may need to have in there, or some trends and some words that maybe people are using in their resumes that you may want to incorporate within the job description. So I think all of those tools are helpful. It's really good for also even being able to formulate questions for you based upon the job descriptions of things that you may want to ask candidates. Some of the other systems can also include being able to do your video conferencing right in the system and it actually being able to store it within the system.
Mm. Right.
It being able to take notes for you and having all of that. So that's what we're now incorporating instead of having separate systems, being able to have more things all in one.
What are the challenges for this industry and specifically DSS Global?
I would say a big obstacle on the candidate side sometimes. There's so many companies. I mean, there's so many instances where I've heard from people that have been contacted by fake companies saying that they're recruiters and they're really not, and they're stealing their information. So I think that's something that's, it's really disturbing that people would do that to others. I've even heard of a person that gave notice and left their job for a job that did not exist. Also, people paying recruiting firms to find jobs for them. And then people think, oh, well, are you like that or not? Or so those are some of the obstacles, but I wouldn't say that it happens to us a lot. Just hearing those stories to me is disturbing.
Right. There's a
People
lot.
not really being legitimate.
Right.
What I will find that's really interesting, I think, in this field is, the new jobs that are being created. So, since I've been in this field over 25 years, is seeing how jobs have evolved to where even something as simple as a CFO or controller, how it has so much technology involved in it now that it didn't have maybe over 20 years ago. And so now I will say the jobs now are being moved into AI focus, having some part of AI that people need to start learning or they have mastered. But I'd say it's more people that need to start kind of getting on the AI bandwagon because that's going to be in all of our jobs, or robotics for people in manufacturing. Like in financial services, it's a lot more AI. In manufacturing, it could be AI on the corporate side, but on the manufacturing side, dealing with the robots and being able to kind of understand how their teams are working with the robots and how they're building strategies for more collaboration. But for people that don't really want to learn the robotic side, that's where, their jobs will probably be in jeopardy long term.
Do you find that the people that you're talking to in general are up for it and into it and excited, or are hesitant, or it just kind of depends on the industry?
It's a mix.
Yeah.
Some people have really embraced it. I would say those numbers are probably smaller than the ones that are either in the process of learning or they're not quite ready to learn.
Right.
That's a much larger percentage. I'd say that for those that are either closer to retirement, if they want to continue to work, there are some people that have really embraced the AI and they've just taken it to new levels where their capacity for working will probably be unlimited number of years because they have that experience. Plus, they've upskilled themselves with learning AI. Both sides has really help them a lot in being able to develop their subject matter expertise.
What's your advice that you would give to people out there?
Definitely start some type of AI learning weekly. Do something where you're learning new things of how to use AI, whether it is asking AI a question. Now, some people say, oh, just talk to AI and tell it everything about you, how you're feeling. I don't feel comfortable with that. Using it for that way, I'd say if it's work related, if you're into the emotional thing of, now they're talking about AI can be an emotional support for people and helping them to overcome mental health issues and stress. I'd say you need that for your private AI at home. But for your work AI, I think that it's really important to understand how your organization is going to use it. How can it help you with your presentations? How can it make you a better presenter to your stakeholders for your research of facts? It can assist you, but you still need to double check behind what it's doing. I would not accept everything of what AI presents to you. I think that we still need that critical thinking. And that's something that employees, as they start to over rely on AI, they're losing that critical thinking because they're thinking, oh, well, AI knows me. AI can do this. They're already answering my emails. Even if they're answering your emails, double check it before it goes out. Make sure that it's really what you want to say. Is there anything that may be, for instance, it might be some company secrets that some people on that email may not need to know. Sometimes it can release a little bit too much. So make sure you read what's going out before it's sent rather than automating so many things that you don't know what's going out. And, you find it a lot in resumes. From my corporate clients, they're saying, they can really tell the difference between resumes that are prepared by AI. They all sound the same. Resumes that are prepared by AI are not intended to just use that 100%. You still have to kind of look over it and tweak it and put your experience in there more because sometimes AI can make it more general or it can have the buzzwords. You do need the buzzwords of things that you see in the requirements section. So for instance, if it says P&L responsibility and you have profit and loss written out, believe it or not, the system is not, unless it's being programmed to look for profit and loss, it's not going to look for that. It's going to look for P, the and symbol, and L.
I see.
So being able, or you can think of it as I can have it in my resume two different ways. So I can have it in one area as P and L and in another area as profit and loss. But you want to think about words like that and what those numbers are that's specific to you and your organization that you've worked with so that people can kind of get a feel of, like, who are you reporting into? How large is your team? What kinds of staff are you managing? Or are you an individual contributor? Are you managing cross-functional teams? Do you have that even in your resume? What kinds of projects have you led, even if you're an individual contributor? Who is it that you're presenting to? That's really important. And sometimes AI will miss those things. And that's where we need to actually have more input and just remembering AI is only a tool. Compare it to your original resume and say, well, what are some things that maybe AI may have missed that I need to kind of add back in there?
Yeah.
Or do I need to keep my resume and just see what AI prepared for me and add those things to it? So which version is better to start with to create a hybrid version? But it should be all true facts about what you've actually done, because sometimes AI will put in words that the person they may not actually have that experience.
Are you talking about this on platforms? Are you posting on LinkedIn? Are you telling the world about all this great advice that you just gave us? Is this part of your own workflow and your own platform as a woman leader?
So actually, there are times when clients will, they would engage me to speak to different groups on certain things, and I do that. There's also different organizations that ask me to speak, and I speak on those things. When it comes to social media, there's so many influencers that have content that rather than creating my own, which, I would like to create more of my own, I'll see something and it's like, oh yeah, these are some things that, maybe I've discussed with clients or with candidates that I think I could pass on and forward. And I've been doing that. But one of the things I am looking at doing is maybe having a podcast where candidates as well as clients and hiring managers or HR people can kind of come and ask for advice on a number of things, whether it is, looking at their external succession plans and maybe how they need to go about doing that, or if it is something regarding HRIS systems, or as a candidate, how do I position myself internally for that next upward move because I've hit my glass ceiling?
Yeah, it just seems like there's so many fascinating talking points and conversations to be had, especially on the forefront of how fast things are moving right now. A podcast would be a fabulous platform to not only build your platform, but engage in really relevant and interesting conversations that would be really helpful to people. I love that.
Yes.
Yeah, great. Anything else that's in the hopper for you that you're really excited about?
I'm excited about creating some different tools that can help clients, corporations, nonprofits, and government with being able to maybe have some training programs for them that can help them in better doing their jobs internally, but then also creating some tools for candidates. So those are some of the things that we're working on and releasing, within the next year. I'd say probably 2026 and podcast. So yeah, those are some of the things that, consulting projects, they've been plentiful, doing consulting engagements and, speaking engagements. So it's a lot going on. I love the fact that we're working with clients in so many different industries. I think that being able to just see all of the changes across the board rather than just saying, oh, we're specialists in just financial services or consumer or manufacturing or some type of industrial organization. I think it's just amazing just seeing all of the changes across industries and different functions. I love giving back information. I speak with clients and candidates, and sometimes I say, wow, I wish we could have recorded this because it might help someone else that's going through a similar problem. But, those are the things that I look to do moving forward for next year.
Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us before we wrap up for our conversation for today?
I just would like to say thank you and your viewers for tuning in to listen to this. It's been very warming to me to be a part of this group, and I'm just excited to be here and share my knowledge. Thanks for having me, Mary.
Absolutely, Tanya. It was so lovely to chat with you today. And thank you all for tuning in. We'll see you next time in next week's episode of The Interior Public. Thank you so much.